Bangladesh's Chief Justice S.K. Sinha has been at the receiving end of criticism from the ruling government's ministers. This following the observations he made while scrapping the 16th Amendment of the Constitution. So when his month-long leave began last Tuesday, his questions were already being asked on whether he was pressured into taking a back seat or if he'd been put under house arrest. Bangladesh's Attorney General Mehboob Alam has rubbished the claims, calling them lies. Sinha is the first ever Hindu to be appointed the head of Bangladesh's Supreme Court. He chaired the trial against the killers of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, widely regarded as the father of the nation. In 2010, as chairman of a committee of the Supreme Court, Sinha declared the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution illegal. In 1979, General Zia-ur-Rahman had introduced the amendment to cancel the principle of secularism and proclaimed martial law. With its abrogation in 2010, the court ruled that Bangladesh is a secular state. Sinha is therefore not new to controversy. His observations on Article 16 have not gone unnoticed. Now, with reports surfacing of his applying for a visa to Australia, questions are being asked on whether the judge is being hounded for his views. Remember, Sinha had struck down the 16th Amendment, which would have given immense power to Bangladesh's parliament to sack judges. WION spoke exclusively with Mr. Sinha. We found him reluctant to talk, which indicates that he is under some kind of pressure. We've heard that you are in Australia, sir. Is this true?
I am not in Australia. I am in Bangladesh right now.
All right.
If I get my permission of the government, that is Honorable President, then I will go to Australia. I have obtained visa for Australia, but till now I can't tell you right now because I did not receive the government.
You are going to go to Australia if your permission is granted. Can you tell us for how much time you intend to go?
I will not give any reply. I will not give any interview to the press. Please follow it. This my country, because I am the Chief Justice. I want my country first. My judicial independence, our judiciary is very strong. I am confident that nothing will happen to our country. Our government is committed to democracy and rule of law. I believe in rule of law.
Meanwhile, Bangladesh's Supreme Court Bar Association member had this to say on the controversy.
By this act, we feel that the judiciary will not be independent and the government will interfere each and every stage. That is our anxiety in this country. He has taken the visa not for his own will. And there are some pressure. And the powerful peoples are trying to throw him out from this country.
All right, so that's where the case stands right now. Now, remember, Mr. Sinha is the Chief Justice of Bangladesh. He went on a month of leave last Tuesday, and now there are reports around that are floating around saying that he's applied for a visa to Australia, something that he confirmed to us over the phone. He said that his visa has been approved, but that he is waiting for the approval of the government, more specifically of the President of Bangladesh, before he's able to go to Australia. Joining me on the phone line right now to talk more about that story is the Supreme Court's advocate, Mr. Ajay Tyagi. He's joining us on the phone line. Good evening, Mr. Tyagi. Thanks so much for speaking with us here at WION. Mr. Sinha has taken a very strong stand, so to speak, on the powers of the executive, the powers of the legislature. And now we're hearing that he is on a month's leave. He says that he's waiting for the government to approve his desire to move to Australia. He's also the first Hindu head of the Supreme Court in Bangladesh. Do you think all these facts put together raises questions on his current status in Bangladesh?
I think the current status of what the things look like to me, it's not only emancipation of the judiciary, but also a murder of democracy and the democratic institutions. It's leading to what I foresee now is it's going to lead to irregular appointments, supersessions of senior judges, and maybe the wiping out of legacy and the pillars of democracy which Bangladesh has developed and evolved over last 10-15 years.
Sure. He's also courted controversy in some ways in the past now. He was the one who did away with the amendment that was introduced by Zia-ur-Rahman that basically stated that Bangladesh is a secular state. He therefore has attracted some sort of attention or unwanted attention, if you will, from Islamists in Bangladesh. Do you think that puts more pressure on Mr. Sinha, given that he is a Hindu?
I think that would be a great pressure. Maybe the way matters may be dealt or would have been dealt in a different situation may have been much more lenient and in a different manner. I personally feel, this is my view, that the government has taken every step to not only confine him, and it's a sad part that he, as the Chief Justice and heading the pillar of democracy, is completely in a confinement, and they are forcing him to do things which probably should never have been done to a Chief Justice. I think our judiciary should also learn something from it.
Do you think the pressure is enough for him to consider moving to Australia?
Yeah, the pretext, I don't know what it would be. Pretext may be that he's going for his treatment. But for 5-6 days, the whereabouts of the Chief Justice of Bangladesh were not to be known. It was only mere open to speculation. I think there have been some movement today, and some letters. The government took some. The Minister of Law in Bangladesh yesterday took some steps to show to the media that, oh, he's moved out on a leave, and he's out on leave for a month. So it looked like as if even that leave application is a forced document which has been done in confinement when Justice Sinha is nowhere to be seen.
Mr. Tyagi, I'll request you to stay on the phone line with us. For our viewers who are just joining in, we'd like to take you through that exclusive conversation that we had with Justice Sinha, where he spoke about, very hesitantly, about the status of his person, as it were, in Bangladesh at this point in time. Let's listen into that before we take more questions across to Mr. Tyagi. We've heard that you are in Australia, sir. Is this true?
I am not in Australia. I am in Bangladesh right now.
All right.
If I get my permission of the government, that is Honorable President, then I will go to Australia. I have obtained visa for Australia, but till now I can't tell you right now because I did not receive the government.
You are going to go to Australia if your permission is granted. Can you tell us for how much time you intend to go?
I will not give any reply. I will not give any interview to the press. Please forward this my country, because I am the Chief Justice. I want my country first. My judicial independence, our judiciary is very strong. I am confident that nothing will happen to our country. Our government is committed to democracy and rule of law. I believe in rule of law.
India's Supreme Court lawyer, Mr. Ajay Tyagi, stays with us on the phone line for more on that story. Mr. Tyagi, you heard that audio conversation that we had with Justice Sinha. He maintains that he doesn't wish to talk too much about his status, about his application to go to Australia, or the length of duration of his visit to Australia. Just going by the situation as it pertains in Bangladesh, there have been numerous attacks against minorities, numerous attacks even against liberal bloggers, some even murder. Do you think that raises questions about his safety too, to some degree? He is a high-profile man in Bangladesh.
What I feel is that I respect Justice Sinha's statement to WION, but I think if you hold a gun to my head and then ask me to give a statement when I'm still in Dhaka as a Chief Justice of a Supreme Court, I don't have many options, do I?
Absolutely. That is correct. Carry on. Yes.
As regards Justice Sinha is concerned, I think I hold him in a very high regard for upholding the rule of law in the country and finishing all the differences between the minority and the majority communities. And he's one of the apostles of judiciary and democracy in the country, and he's a great person and a persona to be effectively pursued by other countries who have such similar problems. That's what I have to say about it.
All right. One last question, Mr. Tyagi. Given, what he's told us, and given the fact that he is currently in Bangladesh, and there is a lot of attention this case is receiving, not just in Dhaka, but elsewhere. I mean, we're looking at it here in India as well. Do you think that there's going to be a certain amount of pressure on the government as well to make sure that the right thing is done, that this doesn't become a case of the government hounding somebody for sticking to their stand?
I think government in Bangladesh is not under pressure at all because right now the world is getting away with other more important things in North Korea or maybe in Afghanistan and other things. The whole U.S. policy is evolving regarding South Asia. So in that situation, the Rohingya, plus you add to that was the situation of Rohingyas coming into Bangladesh and India's good stance of what they're doing. I think the situation here is that the present government is literally getting away with the murder because it's not even registering as a blip on anybody's radar right now. Nobody wants to, pay any attention to that. And that's the reason why the existing government could go and put under house arrest the Chief Justice of a country.
Right. Ajay Tyagi, we leave it at that. Thanks very much for speaking with us here at WION and sharing your perspective with us on that story. It is registering. It's more than a blip here in India. We are taking note of it. In fact, we even spoke with Ruhul Kabir Rizvi in Bangladesh. He's a member of the BNP in the opposition. Listen into what he had to say.
এটা ব্যবহার করার চেষ্টা করছেন কিন্তু এটা our people এবং আমাদের যে জনসাধারণ তারা এটাকে খুব একটা গুরুত্ব সহকারে নিচ্ছে তারা আমি যেটা বলেছি যখন যেটা তারা মনে করেছেন তারা সেটাকে সেইভাবে ব্যবহার করার চেষ্টা করেছেন কখনো কমিউনালিজমকে ব্যবহার করেছেন নিজেরা ঘটনা ঘটিয়ে অন্যের উপর দোষ চাপিয়েছেন এই ঘটনাগুলো তো আপনারা দেখেছেন ঠিক এই ক্ষেত্রেও তারা সূক্ষ্মভাবে পরোক্ষভাবে এটা করার চেষ্টা করছেন আর কি